the most harmful mistake when taking creatine that 90% of people over 50 make. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements in the world, and for good reason. It's affordable, simple to take, and for many adults over 50, it can help support muscle strength, recovery, energy, and healthier aging overall. But here's the surprising part. A lot of people are using it completely the wrong way. And honestly, one specific mistake keeps showing up again and again. It quietly ruins results, creates frustration, and sometimes even causes side effects that people end up blaming on creatine itself. The worst part? Most people don't even realize they're doing it. Some expect instant transformations, others take huge doses thinking more must be better. And many completely ignore the basics that actually make creatine effective in the first place. Today, we're breaking down the most harmful creatine mistakes people over 50 make, why they happen, and how to avoid them so you can actually get the benefits creatine is known for. And trust me, number 5 is probably the mistake causing the most problems of all. But before we begin, drop your name and the city you're watching from in the comments below. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. Taking creatine without drinking enough water. Could dehydration actually be the real problem instead of creatine itself? Honestly, in a lot of cases, yes. This is probably the biggest mistake people make when they start taking creatine, and it's the reason many people think the supplement doesn't agree with them. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. Creatine works partly by pulling water into your muscle cells, which helps support strength, performance, recovery, and muscle function. That's one of the reasons it can be so effective. But there's a catch. When people increase their creatine intake without increasing hydration, the body can start struggling to keep up. That's when symptoms often show up. Some people start feeling tired, bloated, dizzy, or unusually sluggish. Others notice headaches, dry mouth, or even muscle cramps. And because these problems begin after starting creatine, many immediately blame the supplement itself. But, in reality, the issue is often much simpler. They're just not drinking enough water to support the way creatine works. And this becomes even more important after 50. As we age, the body naturally becomes less efficient at regulating fluids and recognizing thirst signals. That means many adults are already slightly dehydrated without even realizing it. Add creatine into the mix, and those hydration problems can suddenly become much more noticeable. The good news is that this mistake is usually very easy to fix. In many cases, simply drinking more water consistently throughout the day can completely change how someone feels on creatine. Energy improves, headaches disappear, and workouts feel smoother again. What's surprising is how often people obsess over finding the perfect creatine brand or dosage while completely overlooking hydration, the one thing their body may need most. So, if creatine seems to be making you feel worse instead of better, don't panic right away. Sometimes the problem isn't the supplement at all. Sometimes your body is simply asking for more water. Number 2. Thinking. More creatine means better results. Ever heard someone say, "I'll just take double the dose so it works faster"? That's usually where a lot of problems begin. It sounds logical at first. More creatine should mean more muscle, more energy, and faster results, right? But the body doesn't really work that way. One of the biggest misconceptions about creatine is the idea that megadosing automatically leads to bigger benefits. In reality, your muscles can only store a limited amount of creatine at a time. Once those stores are full, taking extra usually doesn't improve performance any further. Your body simply can't use the excess effectively, and instead of helping, those oversized doses often create unnecessary side effects. That's when people start dealing with stomach discomfort, bloating, cramping, or digestive issues. Some even feel more sluggish and uncomfortable instead of stronger and more energized. The ironic part is that many people think creatine doesn't work well for them, when the real problem is that they overloaded their system trying to rush the process. In most cases, a simple daily dose of around 3 to 5 grams is more than enough to support long-term benefits like improved strength, recovery, and muscle maintenance. No extreme loading strategies or giant scoops required. And honestly, this says something important about fitness in general. Consistency usually beats extremes. Small, steady habits tend to produce better long-term results than aggressive shortcuts that are hard on the body. So if you want creatine to actually help you feel stronger and healthier, don't fall into the more is better trap. Sometimes the smartest approach is also the simplest one. Number 3. Ignoring exercise completely. Here's a mistake that almost guarantees disappointment with creatine. Some people start taking it while staying completely inactive, expecting the supplement itself to magically create muscle, strength, or energy without changing anything else in their lifestyle. And honestly, it's easy to understand why people think that way. Supplements are often advertised like shortcuts. Social media makes it seem like all you need is the right powder or pill, and suddenly your body transforms. But real life doesn't work like that. The truth is, creatine doesn't replace movement, it supports it. Your body still needs a reason to build and maintain muscle in the first place. That's where resistance training, walking, strength exercises, and regular physical activity come in. Movement sends the signal to your muscles that they're needed. Creatine simply helps that process work more efficiently by supporting energy production and recovery. Think of creatine like an amplifier. If you're already putting in effort through exercise and staying active, creatine can help improve performance, recovery, and long-term muscle maintenance. But if there's no activity to amplify, the results will usually feel minimal or disappointing. The good news is that you don't need extreme workouts or intense gym sessions to benefit. Even simple habits like walking consistently, doing bodyweight exercises, lifting light weights, or staying physically active throughout the week can make a real difference over time. And after 50, this becomes even more important. Muscle naturally declines with age if the body doesn't regularly use it. That's why staying active matters so much for strength, balance, mobility, and independence later in life. Creatine can help support that process, but it can't replace the foundation itself. So, if creatine hasn't seemed effective before, it may not be because the supplement failed. It might simply be that your body needed more movement to give creatine something meaningful to support. Number 4. Expecting overnight results. Have you ever stopped taking a supplement because it felt like nothing happened? A lot of adults over 50 do exactly that with creatine. They take it for a few days, expect dramatic changes almost immediately, and when they don't suddenly feel stronger or more energized overnight, they assume it isn't working. But here's the thing. Creatine doesn't work like a quick stimulant. It works gradually and quietly in the background. For most people, the real benefits show up slowly over several weeks of consistent use. Strength tends to improve little by little. Recovery between workouts becomes easier, muscles may start feeling slightly fuller, and energy during exercise can become more stable over time. These aren't usually massive overnight transformations, they're small improvements that build steadily with consistency. And honestly, that's where many people give up too soon. They quit right before the benefits would have started becoming noticeable. The people who usually get the best results from creatine aren't necessarily the ones taking the biggest doses or following complicated routines. They're often the ones who stay patient, stay consistent, and give their body enough time to respond. It's a good reminder that healthy aging and long-term fitness rarely happen overnight. Real progress tends to come from simple habits repeated consistently over time. And with creatine, patience is often part of the process. Number 5. Ignoring existing health conditions. Now, here's the mistake that deserves a little more serious attention. Some people start taking creatine without ever considering their overall health situation first. They see people online recommending it, hear success stories, and jump in without really thinking about whether it makes sense for their body and health history. The reality is that creatine is generally considered safe for healthy individuals when used responsibly. But that doesn't mean every person should automatically take it without asking questions first. People with kidney disease or certain medical conditions should absolutely talk with a healthcare professional before starting supplementation. And this becomes especially important after 50 because many adults already have underlying health issues they may not fully think about. Things like kidney concerns, blood pressure issues, medications, or other age-related conditions that deserve proper attention. The problem is that internet advice often treats supplements like they're one-size-fits-all solutions. Someone online shares what worked for them, and suddenly thousands of people try to copy it exactly without considering how different their own situation might be. But smart supplementation is really about being informed and realistic. It's about understanding your body, using reasonable doses, and making decisions based on your actual health. Not hype, trends, or exaggerated promises online. Creatine can absolutely be a helpful tool for many people over 50, but the best approach is always a responsible one. Stay informed, pay attention to your health, and don't be afraid to get professional guidance if you have concerns before starting something new. Number 6. Taking creatine, but eating poorly. Want to know another reason creatine feels useless for some people? Their diet is quietly working against them the entire time. A lot of people expect creatine to do all the heavy lifting on its own. They take the supplement every day, wait for bigger muscles and better workouts, but completely overlook the fact that the body still needs proper nutrition to actually repair and maintain muscle tissue. Here's the reality. Creatine helps support muscle performance and recovery, but it doesn't magically create muscle out of thin air. Your body still needs enough protein, calories, vitamins, and nutrients to rebuild and strengthen muscle after activity. If protein intake is very low and overall nutrition is poor, creatine can only do so much. It's kind of like upgrading the engine in a car, but never putting enough fuel in the tank. The engine may be more powerful, but without fuel, you're still not going very far. And honestly, this is one of the biggest mistakes people make after 50. They focus heavily on supplements while ignoring the basics that actually create results. Meanwhile, the people who usually benefit the most from creatine are often the ones who pair it with balanced meals, enough protein, regular movement, and good recovery habits. The good news is that your diet doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need complicated meal plans or extreme eating strategies, but giving your body enough quality nutrition creates the foundation that allows creatine to actually support strength, recovery, and long-term muscle health more effectively. Because at the end of the day, supplements are there to support the process, not replace it. Number 7. Falling for social media hype. Let's be honest for a second. Social media has completely changed the way people think about supplements. Everywhere you look, there are dramatic before and after photos, exaggerated promises, and influencers talking about creatine like it's some kind of miracle powder that instantly transforms your body overnight. And honestly, that creates a lot of unrealistic expectations, especially for people over 50. It can make perfectly normal, healthy progress feel disappointing simply because it doesn't look extreme enough compared to what's online. But healthy aging was never supposed to look like instant six-pack abs in 2 weeks or superhero-level transformations overnight. Real progress after 50 is usually quieter, steadier, and much more practical. The real benefits of creatine often show up in everyday life. Things like maintaining strength as you age, recovering more easily after activity, and preserving muscle that naturally declines over time, feeling more stable, capable, and energized throughout the day, staying active longer without feeling completely drained afterward. Those are the wins that actually matter long term. And honestly, those benefits can have a much bigger impact on quality of life than chasing unrealistic transformations online. Because at this stage, it's less about trying to look 25 again and more about staying strong, independent, and physically capable for as long as possible. Creatine can absolutely support that process, especially when combined with movement, proper nutrition, hydration, and consistency. But it works best when people stop chasing hype and start focusing on sustainable, realistic progress instead. Number 8. Forgetting the real goal. After 50, this may actually be the most important point of all. After 50, creatine isn't just about gym performance anymore, it's about protecting your quality of life. As we age, maintaining muscle becomes incredibly important. Muscle helps support balance, mobility, stability, energy, and overall independence. And when muscle strength starts to decline, everyday activities can slowly become harder without people even realizing it at first. That's why the goal after 50 usually isn't becoming a bodybuilder or chasing some unrealistic fitness image online. The real goal is much more meaningful than that. It's about staying strong enough to move confidently through daily life, carrying groceries without struggling, climbing stairs without feeling exhausted, traveling comfortably, and staying active with family and friends, enjoying life without constantly feeling physically limited by your body. And honestly, those things matter far more in the long run than having the perfect physique. This is where creatine can make a lot more sense for many adults. Not as a miracle supplement, but as one tool that may help support muscle maintenance, recovery, strength, and long-term physical function when combined with movement, good nutrition, and healthy habits. Because healthy aging isn't really about looking younger, it's about staying capable. It's about preserving the freedom to do the things you enjoy for as long as possible. And when people start seeing creatine through that bigger picture perspective, the conversation completely changes. Suddenly, it's not just about workouts anymore. It's about supporting a stronger, more active, and more independent life as the years go on. So, what's the most harmful creatine mistake people over 50 make? Usually, it's treating creatine like a magic shortcut, while ignoring hydration, exercise, nutrition, and overall health. The supplement itself isn't the problem, it's how people use it. What about you? Have you ever tried creatine, or are you thinking about starting? And which of these mistakes do you think people make the most often? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more simple, honest health content without the hype.